flesh.
And that word, that same word that was with the Most High, was made flesh. Now, who's it talking about? Read on.
And dwelt among us.
And dwelt among us. Read.
And we beheld his glory,
the
glory as of the only begotten of the Father.
Right.
Full of grace and truth.
Read on.
John bare witness of him.
So who's this talking about? Right. Whom the world calls Christ. Right. So the word became flesh. So now we could go back to Genesis 1, and we said the word was with Yahweh. Who's the word that was with Yahweh? Yahweh Shai. Okay? We understand who the word is referring to now. Because the word became flesh. Who's the word? Yahweh Shai, whom the world calls Christ. Right? Give me Hebrews 1 and 1 now. Let's get Hebrews 1 and 1. Fully understand.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 1 and verse 1. The Most High, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets,
right,
have in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the world.
By whom he made what?
The worlds.
By whom he made the worlds. His Son, by whom he made the world. So his Son was there for what? The creation. So Christ didn't just hop on the scene in Matthew's, the first chapter. He was always around. He was always with the Father. The word became flesh through Joseph and Mary. Not through marrying an angel, immaculate conception, no. Through Joseph and Mary did he become flesh. All right? Because in order for you to become flesh, you have to be produced by flesh. An angel cannot produce flesh. Okay? Okay.
So before Yahweh took flesh, which is the man that walked, he was just a spirit that was with the Most High at the beginning?
That's right. That's right. It was the spirit that was with the Most High. Let's move it further. Give me Proverbs. The 8th chapter. What we understand is that the hosts of heaven were created. And then the earth was created. Okay. So, Proverbs the 8th chapter and the let me get there. Let me get there. All right. Verse 22.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 8 and verse 22. The Most High possessed me in the beginning of his way,
right,
before his works of old.
Read.
I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was.
Right. He said, I was set up from everlasting, from before the ever the earth was. So who was set up from before the ever the earth was? Who make this statement? Is Yahweh Shai? How do we know this is Yahweh Shai? It doesn't say Yahweh Shai or Christ in Proverbs. How do we know this got to be talking about him? Hold that. Revelations. Like I said, we're going to move quickly. I'm going through a lot of scriptures. You got to have pen and paper because there's a lot of ground to cover with a short time. Genesis 1 and 1. Revelations 1 and 1. And then jump down to the 8th verse.
The revelation of Jesus Christ.
Right, the revelation of Jesus Christ. Now we know Jesus Christ, his real name is Mashiach Yahushua. right? A Greek name given, right, to our Messiah, which was not a Greek. It was a Hebrew. So he would never have the name Jesus Christ because he was a Hebrew. And Jesus Christ is not Hebrew words, the Greek words. You understand that? In the Greek, it's Jesus Christo. All right? Which turned up, which in process of time becomes Jesus Christ, because in the 1600s they added the J to their language, and they incorporated. They took out the Y and I of a lot of words and added J, words that used to start with I and Y. That's where you get Jehovah. That's where you get, there's a lot of words. Jerusalem, right? It's Jerusalem. It never was Jerusalem. It was Jerusalem. It never was Judah. It was Yehuda, right? So what they did, they took out the Y, put the J in the 1600s, right, and added to a lot of the text. If you get yourselves one of these, right, the 1611, original 1611 Bible, you will see that's not in there, right? And you will see the word, a lot of the words in their original text, the way it was written originally. Until you get to the New Testament, then they stick that J in there. But the original 1611 in the Old Testament, you won't see it there. All right? Let's read on.
The book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 1.
All right, read in the Spirit.
The revelation of Jesus Christ.
Now read in the Spirit. Right?
The revelation of the Mashiach Yahweh, which Yahweh gave unto him,
right,
to show unto his servants things which must surely come to pass.
Right.
And he sent and signified by his angel unto his servant John.
Right, come on.
Who bear a record of the word of the Most High, and of the testimony of the Mashiach Yahweh, and of all things that he saw.
Right, so he bear record. He wrote down what the Messiah said to him. So let's see what he said in the 8th verse. Read that.
Verse 8. I am Alpha and Omega.
What does that word Alpha and Omega mean? It means the beginning and the end. In what language? Samuel? In the Greek, right? So what he more or less said in the Hebrew is I am the A and the Da, right? The A to the Da or our Da mean from the beginning to end. Okay, in the Hebrew, or the Aleph, all right, which is the beginning, first. Okay, how do we know he was first? We got all the evidence. We know we started with Genesis 1:1 that said the powers made the heavens and the earth. We went on to John that said that the word was with the Most High. We went to Proverbs saying that he was there before anything was created. And now in Revelations, he's saying, I am the Alpha and the Omega. I was there in the beginning. I'm going to be there in the end. Everybody understand that?
God.
Let's go back to Proverbs. Proverbs 8:22. Read again.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 8, and verse 22.
Mm-hmm.
The Most High possessed me in the beginning of his way,
Uh-huh.
before his works of old.
Come on.
I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was.
Right.
When there were no depths, I was brought forth.
Right.
When there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there.
He was where?
I was there.
Everybody understand? So when he was planning to build the earth and how we're going to do the heavens and everything was according to a plan. It didn't just happen. You know how they can show you on the History Channel, all right, everything was like this, and then real cold came, and then the things started separating, and then mountains started forming. Well, any mountain formed since? Have you been to see a mountain that wasn't there? Oh, wow, mountain formed. No. Because the Most High put everything where he wanted it. Science tries to science that away with their technology and their foolery. That's why the Father said that the wisdom of this world is foolishness. Because a lot of theories passed off as fact. They're not facts. It's technology. It's what they call it. They make a hypotenuse. Okay, right? They use certain evidence and they say, well, this had to be what happened. And they teach our children that as facts. Okay? But that's not what happened. What we read in here is the Most High, he was determining the depths of the ocean before he created the ocean. He was determining the depths. And before, when the depth was created, he was with him. I was there when the Father was talking about the height of the mountains and how we're going to create mountains and how we're going to create depths. So this is nothing is a coincidence. Right? This is true science right here. The Most High science. Okay, read.
Verse 27. When he prepared the heavens, I was there.
Right.
When he set a compass upon the face of the depth.
Right, when he set a compass, when he decided where what? Where north, east, west, and south would be. He was there. Why do you think there's a gravitational pull to the north? Man discovered it, but it was there. Who created it? The Most High created it. Man might have figured it out. Now they got compass, right? To know where north is. But the Most High put that gravitational pull in the north. So that man would know where north is. So they would be able to determine where east, west, and south is also. Okay? This is the science of the Heavenly Father. This is how a lot of people think the Bible is about religion. It's not religion. Nothing we're speaking here is, you cannot witness and see for yourselves. Anybody can pull out a compass and know that it's going to face the north. Why is it facing north? Because there's a magnetic pull to the north automatically. Okay? Nothing you can do to change that. Okay? The Father created that. All right, read.
Verse 28. When he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep.
Come on.
29. When he gave to the sea his decree that the waters should not pass his commandments.
Now, sometimes people wonder, well, how come the ocean don't just rise up and take over the land? Right? Sometimes you got places that's under sea level, but the ocean stops right there. You know, even down here in Florida, I think South Beach, right? It's below sea level. I don't want to just come and knock on and wash that place away. Maybe one day, but when the Most High says it can do it, that's what it's going to do it. When he gives the decree, when he says, you know what, it's time for the water to wash this place, he will send a tsunami and wash it down. All right? But until then, it's going to stop right where it's supposed to stop. Because the Most High is in control of that one. Okay. He said it. That's what you say. He said that. Read.
When he appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by him as one brought up with him.
As one brought up right by him, as one that brought up with him, while I was a son to him, like a sibling. He was a son to the Most High. Who's this? Mashiach Yahushua. That's why he's the highest of all angels. All right, read on.
And I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him.
Rejoicing always before him, daily his delight. Most High delighted his son. Mashiach Yahushua. Read.
Rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, and my delights were with the sons of men.
Right, my delights were with the sons of men. So when all the thing was created, Yahushua, he delights in us. He delights in us. Okay? So this is his position. He's the intercessor between us and the Most High.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 2. And the earth was without form and void.
Right.
And darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of the Most High moved upon the face of the waters.
Upon the face of the what?
Of the waters.
Right. So now we have to understand that water has different meanings. Because the earth was out without form and void. Right? He didn't create no sea, the oceans. So what waters was he moving over? Was the angel moving over? That's right. It's talking about the elements. Okay. Everything is made up from elements. Those that didn't skip science class when you was in school, he gave you something called an elemental chart. Who remember that chart? Right? A little chart with all the squares, H2, H1, oxygen, periodic table, right? The elemental chart, periodic table. Right? So everything is on there. Okay? Everything reverts back to those elements that's on that chart. Everything reverts back to that. You break anything down, you're going to go right back to the chart. Esau did not create the chart. The chart was already created. He discovered the chart. Remember, he didn't create anything. What he did was take things apart that was already created to see where it comes from. And when he went with the strongest microscope he can come up with, and went down to the depths of creation, he found that there's a pattern. But that pattern was created by the Most High Yah. That everything was made out of the elements of this earth that's on this earth. Okay? This is straight science. Right? You don't got to go to Scientology to hear science. Science is in the scriptures. Okay? What you have to do is notice that it's there. Reveal it. You know, how the scripture say, manifest it. But it's in there. All right? Read on. So these waters are not regular water. Let's clear that up. Right? These waters are talking about the periodic table or the elemental chart, however you want to look at it. Right? Read on.
Verse 3. And the Most High said, let there be light, and there was light.
Right?
The Most High saw the light, that it was good. And the Most High divided the light from the darkness.
Right. So what? He lit up half of this space. He allowed those elements to illuminate. Okay. Energy. Right. When you see a flash of lightning, what is that? What is lightning? Electricity. What is electricity? It's a form of energy. Okay. So energy, these elements were energized. They brought forth light. Okay. Okay. Read on.
Verse 5. And the Most High called the light day, and the darkness he called night.
So he made day and night right out of the elements, right out of the atmosphere. Remember, we don't have earth yet. We don't have sun, moon, stars, anything. But we have day and night. Okay, read on.
And the evening and the morning were the first day.
Right. Read on.
And the Most High said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters.
Right, let it divide the waters from the waters. So what? Two different type of elements are being created. And these two different types are going to have different properties. And they're going to be divided. The properties won't be able to mesh anymore. They're going to create two different properties. And they butt up against each other. All right? We don't see the air, but it's here, right? If there was no air in here, what would happen to us? We would suffocate and die, right? So there's elements in the air. We don't see them, but they're here. But then we have the ground, the earth. We have wood, we have sheetrock, which elements butt up against. They don't cross each other, okay? It's almost like the water and the glass, different elements. The glass is an element, the water is an element. One cannot go through the other, okay? Read.
Verse 7. And the Most High made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament.
Right, so now the atmosphere is being formed. Read.
And it was so. And the Most High called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day.
Right, he called the firmament heaven. That's when there's a couple of different types of heaven. When you see heaven in the scriptures, It's also referring to the sky in certain contexts, space, outer space in certain contexts. And then there's the third heaven that the scriptures talk about, where the angels or the Most High dwell, where man doesn't dwell. Okay? So the word heaven has different contexts. Everybody understand that? The third heaven, where's that scripture? Give me that scripture. Corinthians. Let's prove that real quick. I just want to say that. I said, oh, Shama said there's more than one heaven. Let's prove that there's more than one heaven in the scriptures. You got it? Yeah. Yeah, read it.
The book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 12, and verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a man in a Mashiach above 14 years ago, whether in the body I cannot tell,
Right.
or whether out of the body I cannot tell.
Read on.
The Most High knoweth, such an one caught up in the third heaven.
Such an caught up to what?
Up to the third heaven.
Such an one caught up to the third heaven. For there to be a third heaven, there would have to be what? A first, a second, right? For there to be a third, right? There may even be a fourth. Okay? But such a one was caught up to the third heaven. Read.
And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. The Most High knoweth.
Right.
How that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words.
Right. He was caught into paradise. So we know that third heaven is talking about what? The spiritual realm, when you pass, where your spirit goes, or where your soul goes when you pass away. Okay, that's not talking about an earthly heaven. That's talking about a spiritual heaven. Right? Because what did the Messiah say to the man when he was on the cross? He was on the crucifix, and the man that was humble upon the cross next to him, he said, you will be with me in what? Paradise. Because he said, when you give up this body, you go to paradise. Everybody understand that? There's a realm called paradise. That's that heaven. All right? Now, some people think there's paradise on earth, but I mean, that's your imagination running wild, right? Real paradise is when you what? When you leave the flesh. Okay? So that's where this man went, to the third heaven, which is paradise, where the Most High dwelt. All right? So we get to understand. Let's go back now. So these heavens are separated. All right? Read on.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1, and verse 9. Mm-hmm. And the Most High said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear.
So now he's creating what is called the earth. He said, let waters be gathered together in one place. Let the dry land appear. Right, read on.
And it was so.
It was so, come on.
And the Most High called the dry land earth.
Right.
And the gathering together of the waters,
right,
called he seas.
Called he what?
Seas.
So he created oceans and seas. He didn't create one big sea and one big land like they try to teach us, oh, Pangea. That didn't happen. Didn't happen. He said he created seas. So we know that the Most High, he created and put seas where they are, and oceans where they are. The earth didn't shift and move. That's Esau and his technology. You would have us all believe in his nonsense with that History Channel and his computer graphics. He can explain anything. And y'all don't be watching it, y'all be believing it too, right? Everybody, I see the little amoeba flapping the wings. Like, yeah, we was an amoeba. It's right there on the TV. All of that is cartoon foolishness. It's all lies. I don't know why we even expect Esau to tell us the truth about anything at this point. At this point, you got to question everything he tells you. Because, you know, he speaks for his own gain. And the gain that he gets from this type of prideful speech is that he doesn't want you to believe in the Most High God. The less you believe in God, the better he is off. Because then he becomes your God. From the time you leave the Most High Yahweh, Esau becomes your God. There's no in-between. Because all his theories and all everything that he fills the earth with, that's your only alternative. They got people walking around, well, I'm atheist, I don't believe in nothing. Right? That's nonsense. Right? You believe in something. Okay? Everybody believes in something. Okay? You might think you believe in nothing, but you're fooling yourself. You ain't fooling nobody else. All right? What you don't want to admit to is that either you worship the Most High or you worship the devil. There ain't no two ways about it. Either you're with the Father or you're with Satan. All of us, before we entered into this truth, and we know of our power Yahweh, we was dealing with Satan. Right? Dancing with the devil. Okay? We didn't know it, but that's what we was doing. Right? Don't make it any difference. Right? Until the lights turned on, we dwelling in darkness. Okay? There's no choice in between that. I can't cut off all the lights and say I don't want to be in darkness. You cut the light off. You have no choice. Okay? But that's the way we got to think and what we have to understand this life, this world. Either you with the Father or you against him. Now you might see somebody in darkness might have a little light in them. Right? You might want to say, let me talk to that person. Let me see if I can manifest and get that light going out of that person. Because they got that already. Once I put a little light in his people. That's why he said his sheep know his words, know his voice. And they will hearken, they will hear, because that light was already placed in them by the Heavenly Father. Okay? It's just for it to be what? Manifest and brought out. All right, so we on.
The book of Genesis chapter 1 and verse 11.
Uh-huh.
And the Most High said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed,
Right, come on.
and the fruit tree yielding fruit,
Right.
after his kind,
Come on.
whose seed is in itself,
Whose seed is where?
is in itself,
You know?
upon the earth.
Right, whose seed is within itself. Now you got fruits that got no seed. How the fruit grow with no seed? Huh? How that happen? How do you reproduce a fruit and it has no seed? We all come from a seed. Right? Everything is built with a seed. When we eat the fruits, you don't take no mind of it. Oh yeah, we seedless grapes. So convenient. I don't gotta spit the seeds out. Well, how does seedless grapes grow? How they multiply? All right. Like I said, either you do the Most High's way or it's Esau's way. Right? The Most High's way is that there's fruit yielding seed within itself. Clearly. Esau's way, the white man's way, European's way, is that I'm going to create fruit that yields no seed. And I'm going to get them to reproduce it. How? I have no idea. Okay? Maybe somebody who got a science background could tell me how you reproduce these fruits with no seed. I have no idea. All right? Maybe I don't want to know. Okay? Let's read it.
And it was so. Verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself,
Come on.
after his kind.
Read.
And the Most High saw that it was good.
Right. So every fruit, every tree after its own kind. All right. An apple tree is not going to grow oranges. Right. A grapevine is not going to grow figs. A grapevine will only grow grapes. Right? An apple tree will only bring forth apples. And the reason why I'm bringing all this up is very, very important for you to understand that that doesn't change. Esau's Most High's creation doesn't change. Okay? It doesn't change. You can only bring forth seed of yourself. You can't bring forth another nation out of you unless the Most High intervenes. Unless the Most High intervenes and you bring forth the progenitor of another nation, which we know happened in the creation. Okay? Read.
Verse 13. And the evening and the morning for the third day.
Mm-hmm.
And the Most High said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
So what these two lights talking about? The sun and the moon, right? He said these two great lights. Let's put them in the sun. Remember, we had day and night before we had the two great lights. Okay. So the atmosphere is different in the day than it is in the night. Okay. There's a part of the atmosphere that shifts. Right. Along with that atmosphere, the sun and the moon work with it. That's why sometimes you can see the moon in the daytime. Right? So the moon is on its own axis, but the night is on its own axis. Okay, read.
Verse 15. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
Come on.
And it was so.
Read.
And the Most High made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also.
And he made the stars. I mean, we through science learned that these stars are, different planets and some of them are balls of gas, as he claimed them to be. We'll see that if we can't trust what he's saying. You know what I mean? So, but that's what he's saying it is. Is technology and goes into the space and brings these things closer to you. What shape are stars? What's the shape of a star? Who's it? That's right. A star is a circle. It's a circle. Right? We often call things stars. You say you draw a star, they teach you in school, and you draw this triangular situation here. The stars are circles. They're not triangles in the sky. Two or three triangles on top of each other. That's not what they look like. They're circles. Right?
Make it look like it's twinkling. That's why they do it like that. The stars kind of twinkle. But it's just
Okay.
to give the illusion that that's it.
They teach the children that stars are circles?
I mean, no, they don't.
No, they do not.
We're talking about a drawing. I'm saying that's why they draw it like that.
Right. But they teach the children, if that's children draw a star. That's like the thing, right? They're not being taught what a star really looks like. That's the point, right? They're not doing it for the illusion of a twinkle. Because they're teaching the children incorrectly, right? The stars are circles. Light gives forth those, how can they say, the twinkle comes from light. Any light, could be a flashlight, anything from a distance is going to give forth that. The illumination is what brings that forth, not the actual star planet, right? Right?
Book of Sirach, chapter 13, verse 1. 2.
Read it.
Book of Sirach, chapter 13, verse 1. Surely vain all men by nature who are ignorant of the Most High cannot out of the good things that are seen know him. That is, neither are considered the works they acknowledge the workmaster, but deem either fire or wind or the swift air or the circle of the stars or the blinding water or the lights of heaven to be the gods who govern the world.
That's it. All right? That's clear and concise. All right? Clear and concise. All right? The circle of the stars. All right? They make gods out of them. They got Saturn and Pluto, and they look in the sky and they start worshiping the stars and the sun. They put a man in the sun and in the moon and all. We don't deal with that. We don't celebrate no sun god, no moon god, no star god. Okay? Heavenly Father created all those things. Yah is the power. Yahweh is the power. He created all things we see. Okay? Go ahead. Wow.
As far as educational system go, because they'll teach you that star and sun and all that, balls of gas, but they'll have you draw it, as those.
Right.
And
Right.
Same thing as, like, they'll tell you Egypt is in Africa, but every time you see an Egyptian in the history book, it look like Esau.
Right. But look like Ishmael or something. Right. So these are, instead of teaching us the truth, they teach us fables. They teach our children fables. They get used to, and what they're doing is getting your children used to lies. Right? When you're not used to lies, lies sound strange to you. But when you're used to being lied to, then everything makes sense. You start to explain away everything. All right? You start having and you start forming an excuse for the lie. You didn't even originate the lie, but you form an excuse for it. That's not of the Father. The Father deals with truth. Man. Okay, what is it really? Right? That's what the Father deals with, and that's what we see in the Scriptures. What we're getting is the unfiltered truth. That's why we go back to the Torah. We're going to go to the Scripture. We're going to go to the 1611. We want to know what's real. What's the truth? All right. So we can rest a foundation on that. All right. That's a strong foundation, the truth. Okay. So let's read on.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 17. And the Most High set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. Right.
So what? That's one heaven, right? Where the sun is, the moon is, that's a heaven. But he separated the firmament is below all of that. That separated the waters from the waters. So we can see what? That's one heaven is the sky, the atmosphere. Another heaven is the space, our space. Okay, that's the other heaven. All right, read on.
Verse 18. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And the Most High saw that it was good.
Right.
And the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
Right. The evening and the morning were the fourth day. Why do you keep saying the evening and the morning? Sis? That's right. The evening is the start of your day. Right? A lot of us wake up in the morning and we think that's the start of the day. It's not the start of the day. Every day begins and ends when the sun goes down. When the sun goes down, that's one day ending and another day beginning. Right? That's how we knew day to day. That's how we counted days in biblical times. When the sun went down, that was once the sun going down is one day ending and another day starting. So the darkness is the beginning of the day. The light comes in the height of the day. Okay, that's when the light comes. Midday. When it comes a full-on day, 24-hour period. When the sun rises at the height of the day. Okay, you understand that? That's why it says evening and morning was the third day. Evening and morning was the fourth day. That's why it says that. All right, so to be clear to that. Read.
Verse 20. And the Most High said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that have life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven.
Right.
And the Most High created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind.
So now a lot of people get confused in this verse right here. Because they say, oh, okay, so the birds came out the ocean and started flying. Is that what happened? The fins got really long and they stopped flying? So what happened here? What waters brought forth the fowls of the air? Well, that's right. We're going back to the waters from the beginning, the elements, right? Because if you go any animal, we're made up of carbon and zinc and everything that the earth is made out of. Your body is made out of what the earth is made out of, okay? That's not a coincidence. The periodic table is within your body, okay? So it's not necessarily talking about the water, the ocean, the sea. It's talking about the elements brought forth the birds and brought forth of course, the earth and the waters that's on the earth. Most High's spirit put these things together and created all these creatures. Okay? His spirit is still moving over the waters. Remember, we're still in creation. So his spirit is creating all these things, creating plants and trees, and creating and they say Esau had this old saying, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Right? You always say that? What came first? Oh, I was about to say. I was about to say. Obviously, the chicken came first. And then the egg is how the chicken reproduces. That's not a confusion there. There's no, of course the chicken came first. Right? But Esau come with these tricks until he play a lot of mind tricks on us. Mess with your head with his science, his false science. Right? But when you go to the scriptures, you start to understand things on a whole nother level. That stuff can't sway you no more. It can't confuse you because you're like, man, come on. Obviously, he created the plants and put seed in the plant so the plant would reproduce. He created man and put seed in man so man could reproduce. How would I be confused who came first, the chicken or the egg? Come on, man. That's silly. Right? That nation's a silly people, man. Man, the Most High he picked the winner to put us underneath, man. That's a foolish nation. Truth to say, he was going to provoke us with a foolish nation. Right? And these Caucasians, these Europeans, whatever you want to call them, they are a foolish nation. They do a lot of foolishness. And a lot of our people, we look up to them so much, we follow right after their foolishness. But the Most High, be cursing us for following after their ways. Right? We ain't prosper doing after their ways. We got to come back to the Heavenly Father and do His way. That's what we created to do. Okay? Let's read.
And every winged fowl after his kind, and the Most High saw that it was good.
Right?
Verse 22. And the Most High blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas.
In the what?
In the seas.
Fill the water in the seas. You see that? So now he's telling these creatures, fill the seas. So now we got whales and fish and all that stuff, because that's what fills the seas. So we can't jump ahead. We got to read it precept upon precept, very slow, to see what the Most High is doing here. All right? Everything is explained. Read on.
And let fowl multiply in the earth.
Right? And do it.
And the evening and the morning were the fifth day.
Read on.
And the Most High said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle, and creeping thing, and beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. 25. And the Most High made the beasts of the earth after his kind,
right?
And cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind,
right?
And the Most High saw that it was good,
right?
Verse 26. And the Most High said, let us make man in our image.
What day we in? What day we in? No, we're in the sixth day. We're in the sixth day. Remember, verse 23 again?
Verse 23. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day.
Fifth day just ended in verse 23. We're in the sixth day. Okay, read on.
Verse 26. The Most High said, let us make man in our image.
So along with man, what else was created along with man? The cattle, the beasts upon the earth. Right? We were created with them. Okay? Man wasn't created some other time. They were created with the rest of the beasts and everything else that dwell upon the earth. That walk upon earth. We don't live in the waters. We don't have gills. Right? We don't fly. We don't have wings. We don't fly in the sky. Right? We were created on the earth along with all the other earthly animals. All right? We were created on the earth with the other earthly animals in abundance. Just like the animals were created in abundance. Just like the plants were created in abundance. It was no one man, one woman created. We got to see the scripture clearly. All right. Genesis is something that a lot of people have a problem with. Genesis 1:1. The first chapter of Genesis. But when we read it slow, we understand it. Okay. Visualize the creation taking place. All the cattle being created. All the creeping things. Everything that goes on 4 legs. Everything that goes on, is being created. Squirrels. Right? Man being created too. Okay. Read on.
Verse 26. And the Most High said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness.
Come on.
And let them have dominion,
right,
over the fish of the sea.
Let them have dominion. Them have dominion over the fish of the sea,
and over the fowl of the air.
Come on.
And over the cattle.
Come on.
And over all the earth.
Right.
And over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Come on.
So the Most High is his own image.
Come on.
And the image of the Most High created he him.
Right.
Male and female.
This is key right here.
Created he them.
Created he them, male and female. Right? Why this is key? Because when you go into the story of Adam, we're going to go there. Right? He had to get a female form. So you understand that something else is going on when you come to Adam. It wasn't the beginning of mankind. It was the beginning of a kind of man. You understand that? It wasn't the beginning of mankind. It was the beginning of a kind of man that was going to dwell here as well. Okay, let's read on.
Verse 28. And the Most High blessed them. And the Most High said unto them, be fruitful and multiply,
right,
and replenish the earth.
Come on.
And subdue it.
Right, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it. He told that to mankind. Take your women, have children, fill the earth, and get these animals and everything under control. Right. He gave mankind a higher mental capacity that they would be able to put the other animals in control, right? In check, so that everybody had a space and work together. You know what I mean? As well as we know that what? We use the animals for survival, right? Eat them, we ones that were made to be eaten, right? We use their skins, we use their, you know what I mean? So we have to, we have to farm them, right? We have to certain animals that's created to be on your farm, certain animals were created to be in the wild, right? Nobody gonna farm lions, right? Lions are for the jungle, right? But sheep is for your farm, okay? That's the understanding that mankind had to have, okay? I want to have a snake farm for what? What are you gonna get? Well, I guess people wear snake skin nowadays.
But
Snake skin shoes. But we shouldn't be wearing snake skin shoes. That's an abomination, right?
And have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
Right?
And the Most High said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, and the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat.
Right. It shall be for meat. Right? Meaning that what? It shall be for your good. It shall be for your consumption. Okay? For you, it shall be for your consumption. We're supposed to eat your vegetables and your fruits. Okay? We're supposed to eat that. Okay? Read on.
Verse 30. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat.
Right.
And it was so.
Go on.
And the Most High saw everything that he made, and behold, it was very good.
Right.
And the evening and the morning were the 6th day.
It was the 6th day. So what day did we just end? The 6th day. What day are we going into? Let's read.
Book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day, the Most High ended his work which he had made. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made.
Right.
And the Most High blessed the seventh day and sanctified it.
Come on.
Because that in it he had rested from all his work which the Most High created and made.
Read.
Verse 4. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created. In the day that the Most High power made the heaven, so I can make earth and the heavens.
Right. In the day that the Most High Yahweh made the heaven and the earth. What day did he make the heaven and the earth? In what days? Day 1 through what? 1 through 6. So he's saying this. We'll read that verse again, verse 4.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 4.
Uh-huh.
These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created.
When they were created. When were they created? Through the first and the sixth day. So this is a summary of, when you go into chapter 2, it starts to now talk about those first 6 days. It's going back to the 6 days, the first 6 days. Read on.
In the day that the Most High by power made the earth and the heavens,
Right.
and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Most High that power had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground.
Right.
But there went up.
Right. So is that correct? When he made the plants and the earth, was there any rain yet? He said never rained. But he created them in abundance. He said there wasn't even a man to till the ground to care for the garden, for the fruits, but they grew anyway. Because he created man after he created the earth. Everybody see that? Man came after. Earth was already created. Fruit was already created. Man came after those things. Read on.
Verse 6. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground.
Come on.
The Most High, that power formed man of the dust of the ground,
Right.
and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
Right now we're going into something. The mist went up. And now he's going to form this man from the dust of the ground. Right. So now he's going back to things that took place during the 6th day. But now he's going to be talking about this specific man. All right. And we're going to see. Read.
And man became a living soul. Verse 8. And the Most High power planted a garden eastward in Eden. And there he put the man whom he had formed.
So he put this man whom he had formed into Eden. But this is talking about this man. This is a particular man that he created. And he put him in Eden. Because he already, remember, he told us, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, replenish the earth. So man was spread all over the place. But this man, he planted this man in Eden. Okay, read on.
Verse 9. And out of the ground made the Most High power to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food.
Right.
The tree of life, also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
So read that verse again. Read it slowly.
Book of Genesis, chapter 2 and verse 9. And out of the ground made the Most High power to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food.
Stop right there. Out of the ground, we created every tree pleasant to the sight and good for food. All right. There's some trees that doesn't bear any food. Right. Oak tree, you don't get no food from oak tree, right? Or from evergreen, but pleasant to see. All right. But he also made the fruit trees, the apple trees, right? Tamarind tree, right? They have something on there you can eat. Right? Mango tree. We in Florida, mango tree everywhere, right? Read on.
The tree of life.
The tree of life was where?
Also in the midst.
Now this tree of life was also in the midst of the trees that came from the ground, but the tree of life wasn't planted from the ground. it was in the midst of the trees. All right? Don't you understand that? This is a different type of tree, right? Because it was in the midst of the trees that were planted in the ground. Read.
Of the garden and the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Another tree. Read.
And a river went out of Eden to water the garden.
Right, so now those two last trees, were they planted in the ground? No. The first two trees were planted in the ground, the one for fruit and the one for good to the sight. But the midst of the garden was these other trees, right? And these trees are being metaphorically called trees. Okay. These are metaphorically being called trees. All right? These trees that bring forth knowledge. Okay. What brings forth knowledge? Right? How do we get wisdom? From the Most High. We got to hear. Right? So trees don't speak. But we got to hear wisdom and knowledge. It has to be given on to us. All right? We got to receive it. So these two trees were different than the other trees. All right? I know sometimes they have that, they have those illustrations of Eve biting an apple off a tree, and then the serpent and the snake. Come on. We gotta use metaphors and understand metaphor and symbolism is used in the Bible. Okay, these trees of knowledge were not planted trees, but actually men that were set up that had this information. Right? Men that were set up that had some heavy information from the Most High. Okay, read on.
Teachers. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the first is Pison, it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. Verse 12. And the gold of that land is good. There is glittering and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of the third river is Hiddekel. That is it which goeth toward the east of Assyria, and the 4th river is Euphrates.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 15. And Most High thy power took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it.
So now if you look at a map, you see this area, which you also refer to as Mesopotamia, right, is in the northern continent, which is called Africa. Okay? The northern continent, which is called Africa. The reason why I say it that way, because Africa is a name given to that continent. When the continent was formed, it wasn't called Africa. Okay? Right? Matter of fact, the name that it would have prior to would be Mesopotamia. Okay? Not too long after did the word Africa even come about. Okay? Long after. Okay? We're gonna understand that too, because a lot of times we push ourselves into, oh yeah, see, Africa, the motherland, right? But that is borders that was set up by the so-called white man to call any of that land Africa. Esau did that, right? The word Africa comes from a European, his name is Leo Scyphus Africanus. Okay? And the Africa named after him. As much as we try to make it mean something else, that's what it is. Now there's words that are similar to his name that have some meaning to it. That's not what the land was named after. It was named after Leo Scyphus Africanus. You can look him up. Yeah, this knowledge is not hid. It's only hid, to our children in the school system. But understand the land had different names. At one time it was called the land of Ham, right? Right now, it's called the Garden of Eden, we're reading about. So it has different names of the same land. Everybody understand that? All right, let's read it.
Book of Genesis, chapter 2, and verse 16. The Most High Power commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it.
Right.
For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. And Most High Power said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. And out of the ground, the Most High Power formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he will call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
Right.
And Adam gave names to the cattle, to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him. And the Most High Power caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh and said thereof. And the rib, which the Most High Power had taken from man, made he a woman,
Right.
and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother,
Right.
and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed.
So now, what was woman created for? Huh? The man's what? Rib? No, what was he created for? Not made created of. Be a help to man. Right. Your hands up.
He made more animals in addition to the ones that were there before.
No, we're back in the sixth day. Remember, we're back in the sixth day. As we read in the, go ahead.
Okay, so the people that he created
Mm-hmm.
before Adam and Eve,
Mm-hmm.
what race were those people? Like,
There's no races yet.
there was no race. Okay. So what were Adam and Eve? They were
There's no races yet.
no race. Okay.
But, you know, Adam became, the descendants of Adam became Adamites. When you read on, you're going to see that the sons of Adam became Adamites. So now we become a separation of people on the earth. Okay? And that separation of people continued all the way up until Noah, you know what I mean? And that those that did righteous and those that went wicked. Yeah?
One more question. So the chapter or the verse that talks about the mist, right? That's how the land was first watered. Is that
What do you mean?
because it never
It
rained?
didn't rain. I'm talking about the dew that came up?
Yeah,
Okay,
it
all
never
right.
rained.
Okay.
So the first time they ever saw rain was that during the time of Noah?
No. It wasn't foreign to rain at that point. You know what I mean? When he says that he didn't cause it to rain yet, he's going back to the third day and the fourth day. Because he made the plants, the fruits, and everything, but it hadn't rained yet. And we know that plants and fruits and things need rain to exist. But he created those things before the rain came. And before he had man. But by the time he created man, and then a certain day, rain came and everything. All right. So rain wasn't something foreign to them. Okay. As we know.
The book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Most High Power had made.
Right?
And he said unto the woman,
And he did what?
and he said unto the woman,
So this is key here. The serpent was more subtle, and he said unto the woman. Right? So the serpent speaking to the woman. Okay. So we understand when we see the serpent speaking, we know this is not what we understand to be a snake that's on the ground. Because a snake on the ground don't speak, huh? All right. So But that's why when somebody is being underhanded or substile, we call them, oh, you're being a snake. Because you're being sneaky. The snake is a sneaky animal. It lays real low. You never know it's there. By the time you know it's there, you're in trouble. Yeah. Right? That's what it's known. That's what it's known for. By the time you, hopefully you see it ahead of time. Okay? Right? So this subtile being was coming to with the spirit of Satan on to subdue or to appease Eve, or to get Eve to move away from God's commandments, which ultimately his purpose was to move Adam from God's commandments. He's really after Adam. He's not really after Eve. He's after Adam. But he will use Eve to get to Adam. Okay? And oftentimes, this is what the battle is till this day. All right? A lot of times, men are weak to women, and Satan can come through the woman to get to the man, right?
You said that was the beginning of emotions?
Between who and who? Well, woman.
Yeah.
It's going to get there. It's going to be the result of the situation. That's right. The result of the situation will bring the emotions. Now, emotions, we all have emotions. Emotions are spirits. We call them emotions, but they're spirits. That's all they are. Different spirits dwell within your body. There's a joyous spirit, there's a sad spirit. We call them, these spirits, emotions. All right? A lot of times a spirit can be taken off you, or you can bring somebody's spirit down, or add your negative spirit to theirs. That's why people say, I don't want negative people around me. Because then I become negative, right? Because they come with a negative spirit. And that negative spirit then jumps on you. Right? But that's a whole class we go into of spirits. But like we call emotions are actually just spirits. Right? And you can get rid of a spirit. Right? You learn how to control. That's what spiritual power is called. Is you have power over what? Your spirit. Right? You can determine how you're going to feel, how you're going to deal with certain matters. All right? In a righteous way. All right? They have people that dealt with what? Familiar spirits. That's people that deal with what? On the negative side, on the left-hand side. That deal with demons and things like that. Those are called familiar spirits. So everything is in the Bible, everything is in the scriptures. They just have different names to it. Okay, just have different names to it. But your emotions is a spirit that's on you at that particular time. You might have you might feel righteous, but that's the Holy Spirit. That's the point. Okay? So but we're gonna see the relationship between woman and Satan. I think that so it's going to come to fruition as we go through this scripture. All right? Let's read it.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Most High Power had made.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Mm-hmm.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden.
That's in the midst of the garden. Those are different type of trees, right? Read on.
The Most High have said, Ye shall not eat of it,
right?
neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Come on.
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
Right. So now the serpent took authority from the Most High. And said, Most High said you're going to die, you're not going to die. So at that point in time, she got to make a decision. She go to the Most High, or she'll go with this serpent is telling her.
Negative spirit.
What's that?
Negative spirit.
The negative spirit. That's right. Read on.
Verse 5. But the Most High doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened.
So he's telling her the Most High is trying to hold you back. That sounds familiar. Right? Because when we bring forth the knowledge and wisdom of the Most High put man on a certain level, he put woman on a certain level. And when we bring forth those levels, a lot of women say, well, you're trying to hold women back. That's the same thing the serpent said to Eve. They know, don't listen to the Most High. don't not eat of this tree, because there's power in that tree for you. You can have control. You can have power, more power than the Father has given you. That's a deal with the self. That's a deal with the devil. If you're a woman and you want to have power over your husband or your man or men, that is a deal you're making with Satan. You should not even want that. Right? You should tell Satan, tell the serpent, nah, I don't want power more than my husband. He's my power. Adam is my power. But she didn't go that route, obviously. Right? We know how the story goes. Right? She thought, man, that sounds good. I can have all that power. See what's being offered to her. Read that again.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3, and verse 3. But of the fruit of the tree, which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Lest ye die. So she knew what the law was when it refers to those trees. He said, no, we're not supposed to touch those or we will die. We will lose our lives. Read on.
Verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die.
He said, ye shall not surely die. He slipped that surely in there. Right? Because you are going to die, but not the way you're thinking, Eve. Okay? Eve thought she was physically going to die.
Yeah.
He said, you will not surely die. Meaning that you're going to die, but not the die that you think that you're thinking of. So he was real slick with his speech. Okay, read on.
Verse 5. For the Most High doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened,
right?
And ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Right, knowing good and evil. Okay, knowing how to do good and knowing how to do evil, like the gods, right? Because the Most High, he's creator of good and evil. Everybody understand that? He didn't just create good. He created the wickedness too. He said, I formed the light and I made darkness. Right? Get that verse real quick. Let's prove that. Isaiah, what's it, 49 and 5? No, 49. 45, 7? 45 and 7.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and verse 7.
Come on.
I form the lights,
right,
and create darkness.
Come on.
I make peace,
come on,
and create evil.
Read.
I, the Most High, do all these things.
Right. The Most High said, I do everything. I make the good and the evil, the light and the dark. My God is all love. I don't know what God you serve. The God in this Bible says, I'm everything. I'm love, hate, and everything in between. Right? The power that we serve said, I'm a just power. Right? So we got to get to know the God that's in the scriptures, not the God that's in the churches. But that's a figment of their imagination. How are you going to be all love anyway? That doesn't even make sense. Most High gave us all these emotions, right? Spirits. But him himself is only one emotion. So where did he get the other ones from? Right? He said he created man in his image, right? In his likeness. So everything we feel, he created it. He feels what we feel. But what? Our timing is off. His timing is on point. There's a time to hate, time to love, time to kill, time to heal. Okay? There's time for all things in the earth. We got to just be right with the times. Where we fall off is our time be all jacked up. I mean, we be all late with the healing and early with the hate. Right? We ready to kill before anything else. Right? We all our time is jacked up. But we don't get it right. Most High gonna get us right. Let's get back to Genesis. We gotta keep moving through Genesis.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 6.
I know I can go through more precepts, but what we're trying to do is get through these chapters and let it not take, because this, Genesis really The first 2 chapters of Genesis can literally take 8 hours, right? But we want to go through these verses. If you have questions, if you need proof on things, let me know. We'll get those verses for you and link those up. But we're really trying to move through these chapters, okay?
All right, the book of Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked.
Right?
And they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons.
Come on.
And they heard the voice of the Most High Power walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Most High Power amongst the trees of the garden.
Right. Now listen to this very carefully, what happens here. Right, read on.
Verse 9. And the Most High Power called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou?
Right.
And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked.
Right.
And he said,
This is what he said.
Who told thee that thou wast naked?
All right, so if there's nobody else around, he asks, who told you you were naked? Who is a question of persons. Somebody else got to be there to speak if somebody would have told you you were naked. So he said, I hid myself. He said, who told you you were naked? Who told you this? Point that person out. Where they at? Okay. More proof that what? It wasn't just Adam and Eve. Okay. Read on.
Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat?
Right.
And the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with
So
me.
he quickly blamed the woman. Right. He didn't waste no time. He said, man, the woman that thou hast given unto me. You almost trying to blame the Most High. Right? A lot of people blame their wife for a lot of stuff. Oh man, was it for my wife? I can do this, I can do that. That woman. Right? You can't blame the woman. It didn't work for Adam, it ain't gonna work for us, man. You gotta get yourself together. You gotta do what you're supposed to do regardless of what the woman is doing. As men. Okay. So, like I said, the excuse ain't work with Adam, it ain't gonna work with you know, in those times, biblical times, it didn't work, it don't work today either. Okay. Read on.
She gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And Most High Power said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat.
Everybody passing the buck. Right? The serpent tricked me. Did the serpent trick her? How did he trick her? That's trickery. That you weren't too difficult then, right? Not like I think she was eating something else, but she was with the tree. He just told her what he felt. Gave her an alternative. Blaming the serpent, but all he did was give her an alternative. That's what Satan does. He just gives you an alternative to righteousness. You can do it the right way. This way. That's not. Gives you an option. Okay? We all have that option. We can be righteous or we can be wicked. You had an option when you came here today. That's his path. You could have went down at, someplace at the beach. I'm sure there's a beach party going on somewhere right now. Right? But you say, you know what? I'm going to go keep the Shabbat holy. I'm going to get you scripture. Satan just provided you. That's all he did. That's all. And listen, you won't surely die. You're going to know a lot more. You're going to have a lot more. But sure, already know the Most High. The tree. She had clear instruction. Right? He didn't say, oh, he didn't mean that. He meant this. No. She had clear instructions from the Most High, and he gave her an alternative. He went with that alternative, right? Uh-huh.
So they had to be God of good and God of bad. Certain represent the God of evil.
Oh yeah, because you shall be as the gods. And it says gods in lower 1 and 1. So the word God in the Hebrew, right? The word God in the Hebrew is Alahaya, which means powers, authorities. Okay? You are gods, right? Let's prove that. Give me Psalms 82.
The book of Psalms, chapter 82 and verse 6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
You see that? Gods in the lowercase, right? I mean that you have powers, you have authority. Because you're the children of the Most High God. So these authority figures, they were authorities in the garden. What were they called? The trees of good and evil, the tree of life, the tree of those were the God, those were the authorities, right? And he said, you will be like one of the authorities, right? That's what he offered them. You have power. There's only one Most High God. But as gods, all many kind of authorities. Okay, let's go back. A good catch on that. Let me get a chance to explain that.
The book of Genesis chapter 3 and verse 14.
Uh-huh.
And the Most High power said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle,
Right?
and above every beast of the field.
Come on.
Upon thy belly shalt thou go,
Right?
and thus shalt thou eat all the days of thy life.
Come on.
And I will put enmity.
I put what?
Enmity.
And I will put enmity. That means there's going to be a constant rivalry here. Read on.
Between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed.
Right. Does a woman have seed? So what is it talking about, her seed? No. Daughters of Adam, females. Right? They're talking about children, but she could have a male or a female child. But she will have Adam's child. But this is talking about women, right? Talking about our sisters, the daughters of Zion now today. There's going to be enmity between you and Satan. Okay? Nations going forward. That's what he's saying here. We're talking about something in between Satan and our female counterpart. Okay? Everybody understand that? All right, because women don't have seed, just referencing seed as females going forward. All right, we don't.
It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Verse 16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
Right, so he set the order. The desire shall be towards a husband, and your husband is to rule over you. Okay. So he reiterated that the woman is supposed to be ruled by her husband. All right. Had she followed the rulership of her husband, she would not have went the way of the serpent. Everybody see this? All right. So it's very important we understand the foundation of things. Okay. Hold that and get the Apocrypha. Give me Ecclesiastes 25th chapter. Only person wants to say. All right, get Ecclesiastes 25. 23. 24. 24. Um, 25, 24.
Oh, 25.
Yeah, chapter 25, verse 24.
The book of Ecclesiastes and the Apocrypha, page 86, chapter 25 and verse 24. Of the woman,
Right?
came the beginning of sin.
You came to what?
The beginning of sin.
We just read it, right? In Genesis. Of the woman came the beginning of sin. Everybody see that? Correct? Manage. Read.
And through her, we all die.
And through her, we all died. But she said, you surely will not die, but what? Because of the transgression that she committed and then Adam committed, we all die. Spiritually. Read on.
Give the water no passage.
Right?
Neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad.
Right?
If she goes not as thou wouldest have her.
Let's go into something else. Just understand historically, Eve sinned, Adam sinned. Okay? This is the historical beginning of sin in the earth. Okay? Understand. But through the sin, we understand how now to battle Satan, because we know which way he's coming. We should be wise. He makes us wiser on how to battle these evil spirits when they come. With any spirit that's guiding you as an alternative to doing what's righteous according to the word of God, you know to rebuke that spirit. As females, rebuke that spirit. It will come again, but you can rebuke that spirit in the Messiah. That's why in Christ it said there's neither male nor female in a Mashiach Yahushua, because in a Mashiach Yahushua, you are able to rebuke that spirit. Evil spirit come, shut it down. All right? You can shut it down. You don't have to go with it. You can't say, well, I'm a woman, so I got to go. I'm a woman, I'm emotional. I got to do this, I got to do that. No, you don't have to do it. You can rebuke that spirit. You have the power to rebuke that spirit. But it will come because there's enmity between Satan and woman. So he's going to plague you, but you can rebuke him. All right?
You said that it wasn't really a serpent that really deceived her. He just gave her
an alternative.
That really strengthened my idea that you know how it says a wicked woman is given to report to the wicked man.
Right.
That's what I thought, that Adam was wicked and you got Eve, which she was just trying to blame serpent.
But she just tried to blame him. Right. He ain't really tricked. Just like Adam tried to play the blame game on her. He can't blame her because she sinned. He sinned. He knew he wasn't going to eat of that tree. He knew what she was giving him. Right? But he saw her eat of it and still alive, so he was like, You know what I mean? And she was talking, probably talking, boasting it up, and he went with it. But he can't blame her. Right? Everybody just started pointing fingers. No, it's not me, it's not my fault. But the Most High put curses on everybody. He cursed the man, the woman, and the serpent. So who came out of this unscathed? Nobody came out of that not guilty. Everybody got a curse put on. Okay? Most High cursed a whole lot of them. Okay? It's kind of like a parent. You got several children. You got 3 children. And when you come in there, something crazy going on, and they all blame each other. You beat all of them. So I'm not going to sit here and try to figure out who they are. I'm beating all of them. When the dust settles, y'all, I know I got the person that did it. I know that much. All right. Let's go back to Genesis.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3, and verse 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, hast eaten of the tree.
Right? You ain't getting away, Adam. You was wicked. You hearkened unto the voice of thy wife instead of listening to thy God. You listen to your wife, and I'm supposed to be your head. That's wickedness in itself. Read.
Of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it.
Mm-hmm.
Cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life.
Mm-hmm.
Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee.
You want to know how times so hard? It's so rough, huh? It's thorns and thistles, man. Things ain't gonna come easy to you, man, no more. You got to sweat of your brow, you're gonna eat bread now. The stuff ain't gonna be just laid out for you anymore. Forget that. Okay, read.
And thou shalt eat the herb of the field, and the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground.
You die. Read.
For out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art,
Right.
and unto dust shalt thou return.
Right. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Real.
Verse 20. And Adam called his wife's name Eve,
Right.
because she was the mother of all living.
Right. She was the mother of all living. Right. We don't.
Unto Adam also, and to his wife, did the Most High Power make coats of skins and clothe them.
Right.
And the Most High Power said, behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil.
Right.
And now lest he put forth his hand, and take also of the tree of life,
Right.
and eat and live forever. Therefore, the Most High Power sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken.
Right. So, yeah, the tree did exactly what Satan said the tree would do. Right? It did exactly what Satan said. So Satan wasn't even lying. The serpent was not lying. He said, if you eat this tree, you're going to be like the God, knowing good and evil, knowing all these things, all this knowledge you have not known yet. And that's exactly what the tree did. Okay? But now, the result of them knowing all this, the Most High said, now you got to come out the garden. You know too much. You might go as far as to the book of life, and now you're going to know all this and be immortal. We can't have that. So you have to leave. Okay? Because man was originally created to be what? Immortal. All right? Let's prove that. Wisdom of Solomon. What? 223. What? 11 miles. There it is. 223. Yes.
The book. Okay. The book of Wisdom of Solomon.
So with 22.
Chapter 2 and verse 22. As for the mysteries of the Most High,
Right.
they knew them not,
Right.
neither hold they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. For the Most High created man to be immortal.
Right. He created man to be immortal. And we took hold of that tree of life, we'd be immortal. Right? Remember that old movie that come on TV with a Highlander? Live Forever, everybody know? I'm showing my age. You know that, right? One guy out there. Gotta be at least knocking on 40's door. Know that movie. Right? I think they come out with a new one though. So that's a whole other story. Highlander, right, is about being immortal. All right. So man was created originally to be immortal. But because we ate of that tree and got kicked out of that garden, it gave us a life sentence. Okay. Which later, that life sentence got shortened and shortened and shortened and shortened as time went on. Because in Adam's time, there was nothing to live to 1,000. Okay? But the Most High shortened the times after the flood. Right? We read about how we shortened the times. Okay? In a man's years, how much a man, what's the oldest a man supposed to live to according to the Bible? Who knows? I'm on. No, according to the Bible, how old is a man who to live nowadays? 120. That's right, 120. The days of man is 120, according to the Bible. All right? If you pass 10, you're doing good. What is that? 70. Right? When you pass 70, you have what is called a long life. You're in the lengthy part of your life now. If you don't make it to 70, you was cut short. If you make it to 70, now you're entering what is called long life. Okay? Read what you got.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, and upon page 80, chapter 18 and verse 9. The number of a man's days at the most are in 100 years.
Okay. Let's go into 120.
Yeah.
Let's read that short 120. But that's in he said, I will not struggle with man. I will struggle. It's in Genesis, yeah. I will not suffer man. He said not it will shorten our years.
Yes, 6 and 3.
6 and 3?
Yes, 6
Oh.
and 3.
Well, we're going to get there anyway, but read it for now.
The book of Genesis, chapter 6 and verse 3. And the Most High said, my spirit shall not always strive with man,
Right?
but that he also is flesh.
Come on.
Yet his days shall be in 120 years.
Right, 120 years. That's it.
All right.
That's what we is dating, 120 years. So, I think the oldest person that lived was like 119. His old lady was like 119. She almost hit that 120.
Wow.
Yeah. She was right there.
It's
119.
the old mentioned by a lady that owned something like that.
Like 13, 14, 15.
She's the oldest woman alive right
Alive right
now.
now.
Person alive right now.
Yeah. Yeah. She got to that 120, then I don't know after that. It's a wrap at that point, according to scriptures. Okay, so let's go back to Genesis.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 24.
Yeah.
So he drove out the man,
Uh-huh.
and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life.
Right, so no one can get to the tree of life anymore. Cut off. Angels is blocking him. So even with the knowledge he got, he can't get there. On every side. Angels with a flaming sword. A sword ain't for butter and bread. Okay? So they're going to mess with that angel. Okay, so that closes the third chapter. At this point, we're going to take the break. And then we're going to pick up the, or should we go further to the fourth chapter? I want to take a break now or keep going? Keep going? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right. I thought it was later in the days. Let's go.
The book of Genesis, chapter 4 and verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife.
And Adam what?
And Adam knew Eve, his wife.
That means Adam slept with Eve. His wife. Is it the first time he slept with Eve? No. But it's just giving us a chain of events. So Adam knew Eve, read on.
And she conceived.
And she what?
And she conceived.
She got pregnant. Read on.
And bare Cain.
And bare a child, young man Cain. Read on.
And said, I have gotten a man from the Most High.
Right.
And she again bare his brother Abel.
Right.
And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of ground.
And it's very important that we look at that Cain and Abel had two different mannerisms. Even though they were brothers, they were different. Okay? Abel was a keeper of sheep. Okay? Cain was a man out in the field. The reason why we look at these two very significantly, because they come back up in our history. Okay? They come back as what? Esau and Jacob. Okay? That's them coming back. Right? The spirit was here already to have those two rival spirits on the earth. That was already set up for the Most High, from Cain and Abel. Okay, read on.
Verse 3. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering of the Most High.
Right?
And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock.
Of the what?
Of his flock.
The firstlings of his flock. The problem here is what? The Most High requires the first. Cain brought of the fruit of the land, but it wasn't his first. Abel brought the first of his flocks, because he was the keeper of what? The sheep. Okay, we know.
And of the fat thereof. And the Most High had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had no respect.
Right.
And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell.
Right.
And the Most High said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well,
right,
sin lieth at the door.
Come on.
And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
Right.
And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him.
And did what?
And slew him.
So why did Cain kill Abel? Jealousy, envy, malice. The same spirits that the Most High said, if you have them, you cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven. Right? Those same spirits that we speak about. Jealousy, envy, malice, hatred, will hold you back from doing the Most High. So Cain had all that going on in him. Because Abel got favor from the Most High. Yeah. Right? Read on.
Verse 9. And the Most High said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother?
Right.
And he said, I know not. And I, my brother's keeper?
Right.
And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground.
The voice of thy brother's blood cries unto me from the ground. Okay? This means that although Abel was killed, right, his voice was still heard. How's that possible? Your flesh died, but your spirit doesn't die. Your soul doesn't die, your flesh dies. Right? And the soul was still bearing witness to his death, crying out for what? Justice to the Most High. Okay. So it was there's no fool in the Most High. We wouldn't have unsolved mysteries if we were closer to the Most High God. But he know who did it. Most High seen everything go down. The whole earth is before him. The spirits of those that were slain cry unto the Most High. You understand that? That the spirits cry unto the Most High? Hold on, let's prove that. Revelations 5. Revelations 5. Let's prove that. The spirits of those that were killed cry unto the Heavenly Father. I think it's 5 and 8. Okay. Came up with 5 also. All right, read it here. Let me look at 5, but read that in 6.
Okay. The book of Revelation, chapter 6 and verse 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of the Most High,
Right.
and for the testimony which they held. Verse 10. And they cried with a loud voice.
And they did what?
And they cried with a loud voice.
So these souls are crying out. Remember, the Most High, he hears the spiritual realm. It ain't crying in the street, somebody crying, and the blood is crying from the ground. No, that's not what it's saying. It's saying when we were killed, our people were killed, we cry unto the Most High. The Most High will hear our cry, even if we're not here. Because he hears the cry of our spirit, of our soul that's been taken. Okay? It's been murdered. He hears it. Most High hears that cry. Okay? Just like he heard our cry, he heard the cry of Abel's blood. You heard Abel's voice in the heavens. But how Abel doing over here? He's supposed to be on earth. He's supposed to be in the living. Okay. Read that, finish that.
Book of Revelation, chapter 6, and verse 10. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Most High, holy and true, doest thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth?
Right. So those that have been killed, by the hand of our oppressors, they crying out too. We crying out to the Most High, but they crying out too. And they say, how long, man? How long are you going to let this man keep going on? It's killed our ancestors. That's why they talk about, like you talk about Gad, they talk about an ancient burial ground and the blood of their ancestors. And they cries from the ground. They know what they talking about. They got that from Torah. Because those so-called, what they call Native American Indians, they Hebrew Israelites. They know this Torah. They were cut off from that understanding, that deep sleep that we went on last night was upon them. So they don't even know that they Israel, but there's certain things in their spirit that they just know is right. And it's manifested in the way they live their lives. A lot of them wear fringes, don't even know why they wear fringes. We got to tell them why they're wearing fringes. Because they think it's just tradition. Their ancestors had fringes, so we wear fringes. Or it's tribal. It's not that. You wear fringes to remind you of the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High. That's why you wear fringes. That's why the North American, so-called North American, running around with fringes on. It's not a style. It's to remember the commandments. They know that, or they knew that, but they got cut off from that knowledge. So now it's coming back to them. All right? A lot of what they do is spiritual. Just like the Father said to do, and they don't even know it. Okay? Let's go back. 4th chapter.
The book of Genesis, chapter 4, and verse 11. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength.
Right.
A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth.
Right, come on.
And Cain said unto the Most High, my punishment is greater than I can bear.
Right, that's too much, man. A fugitive and a vagabond will be in the earth. He said, man, he said, damn. Right? But remember, this is the same thing that came down on Esau. This is why Esau was already ordained by the Most High to lose the birthright. This is why. Because the curse of Cain you to fall upon the head of Esau. Okay? When you go to Esau and Jacob. And the blessing of Abel, or of Seth that comes after Abel, falls upon Jacob. Okay? Same scenario. Okay, read.
Verse 14, behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. And the Most High said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold.
Right. Because that's not what's supposed to be done. Scripture say, wait, Most High said, wait ye upon me, let the Most High bring the judgment. He already put the judgment on Cain. You can't go by Most High and want to slay Cain. Most High already put the judgment on him. Okay, we don't.
And Most High set a mark upon Cain,
Right?
lest any finding him shall kill him.
Right?
Verse 16. And Cain went out from the presence of the Most High and dwelt in the land of Nod.
The land of what?
The land of Nod,
We don't.
and the east of Eden.
Right?
And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehujael, and Mehujael begat Methuselah, and Methuselah begat Lamech. And Lamech took unto him two wives. The name of the one was Adah, and the other name of the other Zillah.
Okay.
And Adah bare Jabal. He was the father of such as dwell in tents, and of such as have cattle.
Mhm.
And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah.
Right, so you see that. So Lamech took unto him two wives, right? And had a big family, bare children. Okay? This is what we did, this is what the wives, the purpose of having the wives was that you could you can bear children. You know what I mean? That you could multiply and build strong families. Okay, that's what it's all about. It's about us multiplying, building strong families unto Yah. Make no sense you have a bunch of children and they all wicked, right? We built, or they all end up someplace else. You don't even know where they at. You got some people bear children, don't even know where the child at. Okay, we're supposed to build children, build up strong families. Okay.
Verse 23. And Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice. Ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech. For I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurts. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son and called his name Seth. For the Most High, said she, have appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew.
Right.
And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Most High.
Right. Then became man to call upon the name of the Most High. So Enos was the birth of, righteousness being reestablished after Abel. Okay, because Abel was in the spirit. Cain killed Abel, wasn't really done with the Most High the right way. Seth came on the scene as a righteous man, and Seth's son, Enos, really took righteousness to the next level. All right? Everybody following? All right, so now we'll take a break. We only have the 5th and the 6th chapter to close out. Or the 5th chapter and then the 6th chapter to verse 8. So we have a short. So yeah, we'll take a break now. If you have your snacks, whatever you have, take your lunch now, and we'll reconvene in half an hour. It's 3:30 right now. It's 3 o'clock right now. 3:30 we will reconvene. Got it?
Oh, yeah, I'll show my